Hey, good afternoon, Columbus. This is Troy again with Ohio Men's Health. Welcome back. And today we're going to be talking about the most common symptoms that we see in men with low testosterone, or what's called an androgen deficiency. Before we get started, as always, if you're looking for us, you can find us at columbuslowt.com. So you can find us online, columbuslowt.com. You can go onto your favorite social media channel, whether it's TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and just search simply Ohio Men's Health. You can also contact us directly, 330-662-1030. We take calls and text on that number if you have questions and or would like to schedule a consultation. So the most common symptoms of low testosterone or an androgen deficiency or a partial androgen deficiency. So let's talk about them. Most common symptoms, let's talk about number one, fatigue. Fatigue is without question the most common thing that I see, the most common complaint across the board when it comes to low testosterone. Most men are waking up tired, feeling tired throughout the day, and feeling tired at the end of the day. And that kind of goes in line with also just the description of brain fog, just this general haze with the fatigue of just this fogginess, this difficulty with concentration, poor memory, recall. We're just starting to see this kind of just general haze or fog or like a hangover effect. And those two certainly go together. We hear it all the time. The fatigue, the brain fog, it just doesn't lift. The weekends, weekday work, perhaps sometimes on vacations you get a little reprieve from it, but it's a noticeable difference, and the spouses tend to notice a big difference as well. Number three, let's talk about motivation and just what we're going to call a general dysthymia. I can't tell you how many times I've heard that someone goes to the family doctor and they go, hey, listen, here's the symptoms I have. I have fatigue, just don't feel excited about things, just not happy anymore. And of course, they get diagnosed with depression and they get put on an antidepressant. And I can't tell you, it's countless men who come in and go, listen, it didn't help, I don't feel any better. And that's because dysthymia is a common term or a way to describe this feeling that we experience with low testosterone. It's not depression or clinical depression. A lot of clinical depression is just where folks don't want to leave home, they are recluses. With low testosterone, we get dysthymia, which means we're just not as excited about things as we used to. So our motivation declines. So good example, hey, you get a call on the weekend, your buddy's like, hey, let's go golf, let's hang out for the day, whatever, and you're just like, I don't know. And that's something that perhaps before you would be excited about. So we just tend to be less excited about things. You're like, hey, let's take the family and go on the boat this weekend. And you're just kind of like, meh, I'm not so sure, I'm interested in that. The motivation for the gym, you just don't feel like going anymore. So motivation is huge. It's a big one, and it kind of couples with what we're going to call, again, dysthymia. That's the medical word for just a depressed mood, not depression. And that's, again, where a lot of you guys get on these antidepressants. Another big one is sleep disturbance. So it's really funny. You're kind of like, which causes it? Okay, we know that testosterone is manufactured while we sleep. So that's when we make testosterone. So a lot of men will start having sleep disturbance, maybe sleep apnea, we've gained some weight, we don't go to the gym, we get bigger necks, bigger chests, and we start to develop sleep apnea, and then we don't sleep well. And since testosterone is manufactured while we sleep, what happens then is the testosterone level goes low. But what caused what? So was the testosterone low first, and that contributed to the sleep disturbance and the weight gain and now the sleep apnea, or did the sleep apnea cause the low testosterone because we're not sleeping and we're not manufacturing? Hard to say. Either way, we see guys have a sleep disturbance that's considerable, and we usually see two things. Number one is difficulties falling asleep. Number two is difficulties staying asleep. So we just see this disrupted sleep pattern, which complicates the whole picture. So that's a big one. Now, body comp changes. We'll see a lot of men who will complain of more back fat in through the lats and kind of mid to low back area, and of course the central trunk right in the middle. So we get this increased body fat deposition, and then you try to go to the gym, you're like, okay, well, shoot, maybe I'll just go to the gym and golly, see if I can work this out, And then the things that we see are that the tolerance for exercise decreases, where you go, gosh, I don't have the same bang that I used to in the gym, and maybe you're trying some supplements and No Explode and NO2 and all these things to see if you can get a pump, and you're just not getting a pump in the gym. You don't respond to it. You don't feel good. It takes forever to recover. You do get sore, and perhaps you're sore from Monday. Do chest workout on Monday, and then you're still sore on Friday. By the time the weekend comes, you're like, geez, I'm still sore. So the recovery and tolerance to exercise is decreased. Noticeable changes in libido. Libido meaning sex drive, meaning the desire for sex decreases. So as testosterone goes down, our desire or want for sex decreases. And this is a common one that I hear is, I'll hear many men just come in and say, listen, my wife is beautiful. I find her gorgeous. She's absolutely stunning, but I'm just not interested. And that's not normal for me. And no, it's not. And that's a big, big symptom of low testosterone. Now, the most common thing that many people think that low testosterone is associated with is ED, and testosterone can cause ED, but I would say it's one of the fewer complaints that I see. The ones that I just mentioned are usually the biggest complaints. ED is a common issue as well for some men, but not all. It's one that we treat, we work with, we can manage that, but it's not the biggest complaint. Usually the fatigue, the brain fog, decreased libido, exercise is terrible, you don't respond, we're gaining weight, motivation declines. Those are the biggest ones that I see in terms of the complaints with low testosterone. But ED is also a complaint. ED can be described as in two ways. It can be a difficulty achieving and or maintaining an erection. So some men can get an erection, but they can't maintain. And some men have difficulties achieving erection. Those are the true clinical definitions of erectile dysfunction, which can also come along with low testosterone as well. So those are our main symptoms that we see with testosterone as it becomes deficient, or low T as it's most commonly caused, or in the medical world we call it an androgen deficiency. Our next video, we're going to tease apart the difference between a partial androgen deficiency and a true androgen deficiency. So stay tuned for that. Again, if you're interested in finding us, you can go to columbuslowt.com. You can look for Ohio Men's Health on your favorite social media channel, and you can schedule a true complimentary consultation. During the consultation, there's no tricks, there's nothing hidden. Spend an hour with you running through your symptoms, whether it's telephone, telemedicine, or in person. We'll do a consult, we'll run through your symptoms, and typically our second step is a lab draw, which is covered by insurance. From there, our next step is then figure out what's the problem. So we got to figure out what's wrong. Sometimes it's not testosterone. We check every hormone that you can possibly look at when we look at the lab studies. So we're going to draw an extensive panel. So again, if you'd like a complimentary consultation, feel free to reach out, columbuslowt.com, 330-662-1030. We'll see you next time.